I want to stay with you, Daddy." With tears streaming down his face, Noah clung tightly to my hand. It was such a small hand, and it was such a warm hand, but I shook it off. "You're just in the way." "What?" It was a freezing night in December, with a biting wind cutting through the air. Huddled under a bridge, my body trembling, I stared at the sleeping pills I had pulled from my coat pocket. The cold seeped deep into my bones. I hadn't had a proper meal in days, and my body was reaching its limit. I'm Michael Carter, age 50. Now homeless and living under a bridge. I was once just an ordinary office worker at a top-tier company. There was a time when the simple days with my wife and daughter were enough to make me happy. The company went bankrupt. Then came the divorce. Then the debt. As I spiraled to rock bottom, I lost everything I held dear, one thing at a time. My wife took our daughter and moved back in with her parents. I never saw them again. I gave up my home, my car, and everything. Before I knew it, I was living on the streets. It's been 3 years now. People's eyes are cold. Bit by bit, my dignity as a human being has been stripped away. Digging through crusts of bread and collecting empty cans, I couldn't stand the sight of that miserable figure in the mirror any longer. I'm ending this life, while I can still die with some shred of humanity. I tightened my grip around the sleeping pills. The last image that came to mind was my daughter's smile. Maybe it's better this way. At least she won't have to see me like this. Just as those thoughts crossed my mind, I heard a faint cry. "Is someone there?" I stood up and headed toward the nearby garbage dump. The crying came again, from inside a pile of cardboard boxes. The dump was barely lit, with only a hint of moonlight. I gasped the moment I opened the box. Bathed in moonlight, a tiny life lay there. It was a newborn baby. The umbilical cord was still attached. Its tiny body was turning blue from the cold. A single thin blanket was the only thing shielding the child. Who could have done this? Who would? Without thinking, I picked up the baby. The little body trembled in my arms. If I'm going to die anyway, maybe I can do at least one decent thing before I go. At the very least, I can leave this child in safe hands. I wrapped the baby in my coat, trying to share my body heat. This fragile life in front of me was crying out for help. When I looked at the baby's face, I saw my daughter's face overlap with it. It was so small and helpless. I rushed to the nearest public phone. Right before pressing the red emergency button, I hesitated. If I called, the police would come. On a night I had planned to disappear, this would complicate things. But the weight of that tiny life pushed away all doubt. Still, if there's just one thing I must do before I go, I pressed the emergency button and explained the situation to the operator. There's a baby. Someone abandoned a newborn. The umbilical cord is still attached. As the sound of sirens grew louder, I held the baby close to my chest. The warmth from that little body started to thaw my frozen heart. It's going to be okay. You're not alone anymore. Those words were meant for the baby, but also for me. Now that I've met this child, I have a reason to live. I climbed into the back of the ambulance, holding the baby tightly in my arms. As the vehicle rocked, I could feel the faint heartbeat of the tiny life within. When we arrived at the hospital, a doctor rushed over. "Severe hypothermia. We need to get the baby into treatment immediately." One by one, medical staff gathered around. They placed the baby in an incubator. Surrounded by warm light, the baby's breathing began to steady. From a corner of the hospital room, I quietly watched. Just hours ago, I was ready to end my life. Now I was praying with everything I had that this tiny life would be saved. Thank goodness you found him, if it had been even a little later. Her unfinished words pierced my chest. If I hadn't found him, this baby might have frozen to death. The man who was about to die had ended up saving a life. Even as the sky began to lighten outside the window, I couldn't bring myself to leave the incubator's side. Watching the baby sleep, I felt a strange warmth. I took the sleeping pills from my coat and threw them into the trash. Right now, I only wanted to think about this child. It's a boy. He's going to be okay. Tears rolled down my cheeks before I even realized it. The baby slowly opened his eyes inside the incubator. His gaze met mine, and it sent a shiver through me, as if he were saying, "Thank you." A few days later, I was sitting under the familiar bridge, gathered in a circle with my companions. "Raise a baby? Are you out of your mind?" That was what Roy said. "I'm serious. I want to raise him." Everyone looked stunned. No one believed a homeless man could raise a child. I expected that reaction. "But you're the one who saved him. I get that you want to honor that bond." That was from Charles. Yeah, their expressions slowly began to change. "Every morning I get leftover vegetables from the supermarket. If I sell those, I can probably buy baby formula." "Charles, a baby can't survive out here under a cold bridge. But there's an abandoned house I know of." Roy pulled out an old notebook and wrote down the address. Little by little, everyone started offering to help. Finally, the oldest of us, Walter, spoke. "I'll be the legal guardian. I used to run a business, you know." "Walter, are you sure? My name's still on the registry. I might be living on the streets now, but if I can still do something to help someone, I want to." Their kindness brought tears to my eyes. 1 week after the night, I tried to end it all. Now, there was real hope. I decided to go back to the hospital and talk to someone about a special adoption. It might be close to impossible, but for some reason, I didn't want to give up. Standing in front of the incubator, I looked at the baby's peaceful sleeping face. "You should probably decide on a name soon. I think I'd like to name him Noah." "Noah, huh?" "Yes, because this child brought light into the darkness of my life." With Walter as the legal guardian, the process of creating an official record began. A man who was ready to die under a bridge was about to become a father. In the days leading up to Noah's release from the hospital, we worked desperately to prepare. The abandoned house Roy had found was surprisingly livable. We boarded up the broken windows and replaced the old mats. With the help of everyone, it slowly transformed into a place fit for a human being. We got baby formula and bottles secured. The church agreed to donate blankets and clothes. I'll talk to the city office. We should be able to get some financial support. While quietly cleaning, I was overwhelmed with a strange emotion. The people who had supported me through homelessness were now working to give Noah a future. We were steadily getting everything ready for Noah's arrival. But more importantly, something even greater was taking root. "Wait for me, Noah." On the day of his discharge, I held Noah tightly as the nurses waved goodbye, and we headed toward the abandoned house. It was a step I never could have imagined during my time on the streets. A week had passed since we started living in the abandoned house. In the middle of the night, I woke up to Noah's cries. "There, there. Time for milk, huh?" With clumsy hands, I began preparing a bottle. Charles heated the water to the right temperature using a small portable stove he had managed to find. Noah's cries pierced the silence of the night. At first, I had worried about disturbing the neighbors, but my friends had already explained everything to the people nearby. "Hey, I'll take the next shift. Get some rest. Thanks. Charles took the daytime shift, Walter in the evenings, and Roy and I took care of Noah through the night. We were clumsy men, raising a child together. Even so, Noah grew stronger and healthier with each passing day. At dawn, I would head to the library to read parenting books. The hours I once spent thinking about death were now filled with learning how to be a father. Michael, you've changed. Uh, your eyes. You've got that spark again, like you actually want to live. I couldn't find the words to respond. I just looked down at Noah's sleeping face, nestled in the baby carrier. Meeting this tiny life had truly changed me. In trying to become a father, I had started to value my own life again. Ah! Hearing that faint little voice, I leaned in instinctively. It didn't mean anything yet, but just hearing it filled my chest with warmth. Thank you, Noah. In that quiet room of the abandoned house, I gently kissed his cheek. 1 year passed. Noah was growing steadily and had reached the stage where he was pulling himself up and toddling around. I was making toys out of cardboard that Charles had brought when a small voice suddenly stopped me in my tracks. Duh, duh. At first, I thought I'd misheard. But then Noah looked right at me and said it again, clearly. Da da. Noah, did you just? Da 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 da. I scooped him up instinctively, and he kept repeating it over and over. Uh, Warm tears streamed down my face. Hey, what's going on? We heard crying. My friends came rushing in, and Noah proudly showed off his new word. That's amazing. He really said, da. We've got to celebrate this. I held Noah in silence, turning my face away so they wouldn't see me crying. But I couldn't hide the joy. Come on, Michael. Hold your head high. You're a father now. That's when I finally looked up. Noah, curious, reached out to touch the tears on my face. Thank you, Noah. Thank you. Noah's growth after that was astonishing. He learned to speak, to walk, and to run. The local park became his favorite place to play. Some people looked at us suspiciously because we were a homeless father and child. But Noah's bright smile gradually softened the hearts around us. Daddy, over here. Hold on now. Don't run too fast. You know, these days, Michael really seems like a real father. A real father, huh? Yes, I was a father now. Noah laughed with joy playing with the cardboard car I made. He built little hills in the sandbox, proudly showing them to me. All of it gave me a reason to live. Daddy, look. Noah stuck a little twig into the top of his sandy hill. Wow, that's great. Other families kept their distance. Some mothers even pulled their children away from us. But Noah's smile shone so brightly, it outshone everything else. As long as he could play happily like that, that was enough for me. As spring approached and Noah was nearing age 6, I faced a major decision. He couldn't start school while we were living in an abandoned house. We needed to transfer our residency record. We had to change our entire way of life. If you're applying for public assistance, I'll go with you. Walter. Walter called in some of his old connections and spoke with the local government office. As Noah's legal guardian, he began working toward getting Noah into school. Hey, I heard there's a unit open in that public housing complex. Rent's affordable too. If you need a guarantor, I can introduce you to a realtor I know. With help from my friends, we started preparing step by step. But the anxiety never fully went away. Daddy, is school fun? Noah's innocent question made my heart tighten. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I said that with a smile, but inside, I was full of worry. A father with no job, no fixed address. Would Noah be treated differently by the other kids? Hey, Michael, I have an idea. What is it? There's a factory I know that's hiring for night shifts. Comes with a dorm room, and you can transfer your residency. Night shifts. Huh. You'd be there when Noah gets home from school. Plus, if you live in the dorm, you won't have to pay rent. That suggestion shone like a ray of hope. That night, while Noah slept peacefully, I made up my mind. I had to leave the life on the streets behind and become a proper father. The next day, I decided to go to the factory for an interview. That morning, Noah woke up. Daddy, where are you going? I've got something important to take care of. I want to go too. No, not today. Stay and play with Charles. No, I want to be with Daddy. Noah clung to me, and in that moment, all of our memories rushed through my mind. Those were the memories of the days in the abandoned house, the games in the park, and all the moments with my friends. But things couldn't stay like this. I wanted Noah to have a normal life, to play with friends, go to school, and dream about the future. Noah listened to me. I sat him on my lap and began to speak slowly. Listen, Noah, I need to work even harder for you. That's why I'm going out to look for a job. A job? Yeah, so you can go to school. So I can become the kind of father you can be proud of. Noah's eyes flickered with uncertainty. But then he gave a small nod. I promise I'll come back. That's a promise. A promise. At the interview that day, I gave it everything I had. I pleaded with them and told them I wanted to turn my life around for the sake of my son. It came from the depths of my heart. By some miracle, I passed. The factory manager, Thomas, saw my desperation and said, I get it. I'm a father too. He gave me the job. The night shifts at the factory were more physically demanding than I had imagined. Standing by the production line through the night, silently assembling parts. Even so, every time Noah greeted me with a smile and a cheerful welcome home, the exhaustion melted away. The dorm was old and worn, but for our new life together, it was more than enough. After transferring our residency record, Noah finally started school at the local elementary. It felt like a dream come true. 4 years have passed since then. Noah was now in the 4th grade. I continued working night shifts at the factory, and we were living what could be called an ordinary life. Hey, a racing form, not a bad way to unwind. One morning on my day off, I was reading a racing newspaper someone had left in the dorm lounge when Noah peeked over my shoulder with curiosity. Dad, I think this horse is going to win. Noah pointed at one of the horses in the paper, with a look of certainty in his eyes. Why do you think that? Well, if you look at its past times, the track conditions, and how it's matched against the other horses, the odds say it has the best chance. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Noah was only 10. He shouldn't know anything about horse racing. Yet somehow, he was reading the data in the newspaper and arriving at a conclusion with what sounded like logic. Noah, how do you know this stuff? When I look at the numbers, the answer just kind of comes to me. Still skeptical, I bought a ticket for that race based on his pick. It wasn't for much money, so it was just for fun. But then, at the finish, the winner is number 3, Falcon Ace. He won. The horse Noah had picked came in first. He didn't look especially surprised. He was already studying the next race. This one next. Based on pace and how well it runs this course, I think this horse has the highest chance. I followed his advice again. And again, he was right. Every time I tested Noah's predictions, the accuracy was shocking. It didn't seem like just luck. What? How are you really figuring this out? Like I said, when I look at the numbers, the answer just pops into my head. Probability, statistical forecasting, reading race patterns. Noah might possess a level of mathematical talent I never could have imagined. This kid, what is he really? Still trying to make sense of it all, I gently stroked his hair. I didn't yet understand what any of it meant, but something in my chest was stirring. And just as I was still sorting through those feelings, I got a call from Noah's school. "Mr. Carter, thank you for coming in today." I had been called to a meeting room. Sitting across from me were Ms. York, Noah's homeroom teacher, and another man who had been working with Noah in a special math program, Mr. Mitchell. I sat down, feeling a bit nervous. "Actually, we wanted to talk to you about the results of a recent academic assessment. Did something happen with Noah's test?" "No, it's quite the opposite. His performance in math far exceeds the typical level for his age." Ms. York handed me a sheet of paper. It was Noah's test results. "This is from a nationwide standardized IQ test, and Noah's score is far above the average." Honestly, even we as teachers were stunned. "That high?" Mr. Mitchell, the special math instructor, spoke up. "Mr. Carter, Noah has a very rare kind of talent, especially in mathematical reasoning. His development in this area is extraordinary. He can solve problems at the level of university entrance exams in just a few minutes." I was speechless. Maybe it wasn't just a coincidence. Could it be that Noah truly possessed something extraordinary? That's why, as a school, we would like to recommend that Noah receive specialized instruction in mathematics. Specialized instruction. Yes, regular classes won't be enough to support his development. With guidance from a mathematics expert, we can help him reach his full potential. However, this is not mandatory. We want you and Noah to talk it over and decide together what's best. What does Noah think about all of this? Well, Noah said, "I'm fine with regular classes." When I went to pick him up after school, I found him chatting with his friends like always, his face calm and carefree. Later, we sat together on a park bench after school. Small children laughed and played on the swings in front of us. Noah gently rocked back and forth and murmured in a quiet voice, "Dad, I'm okay being just normal." Is that so? I don't hate solving hard problems or taking special lessons, but doing something different from my classmates, it feels kind of lonely. I stared at his profile. There was a strange blend of childlike innocence and thoughtful maturity in his expression. "Are you sure about that?" "Yeah, I like learning, but I also really want to be with my friends." After a moment, I nodded quietly. "All right, I'll let Ms. York and the others know how you feel." "Thanks, Dad." Noah reached out his small hand. I gently held it in mine. "Hey, Noah, what is it? No matter what path you choose, I'll always be on your side." Noah broke into a bright smile. That smile was the most precious thing in the world to me. Hand in hand, we left the park together. The setting sun cast a gentle glow over Noah's small back. One evening, I received another call from the school. Noah and I were called into the meeting room again, this time with his homeroom teacher. Several unfamiliar men in suits were already seated when we arrived. "Mr. Carter, these are professionals who have reviewed Noah's abilities." "Professionals?" The men began introducing themselves, handing me their business cards. There were specialists in math education, representatives from international study abroad organizations, and even someone from one of the top elite schools in the country. "Mr. Carter, first, let me say this. Noah has an extraordinary mathematical gift." The representative from the elite school continued. "Our school offers a special education program designed for nurturing exceptional talent. We would very much like to welcome Noah as a student. You mean he would transfer schools? Yes. If he continues in a regular academic environment, we fear it will only hold him back. He needs a place that can provide a more advanced education. I glanced at Noah. He sat quietly beside me, listening to everything without saying a word. Another man spoke up. Additionally, through our organization, we've been in contact with a university in the United States that's interested in Noah's abilities. There may be a scholarship opportunity available to support his growth. A university in the United States? But Noah's only 10 years old. That's true, but with his level of talent, he could skip grades and begin a specialized curriculum right away. I turned my gaze to Noah again. To me, he was still just a 10-year-old boy. Yes, his talent was real. It was astonishing. But still, could we just leap into something so big, so fast? Noah, what do you think? Noah thought for a moment and answered softly, I don't know. As the specialists continued talking, one thing became clear in my mind. I have no idea how I'm supposed to guide this boy's future. That night, Noah and I sat across from each other at our small table. I tried to sort through the day's events and chose my words carefully. Noah, to really nurture your talent, maybe a normal school just isn't enough. We should at least consider a transfer, maybe even going overseas. Noah spun a pencil in his fingers and spoke in a small voice. Dad, do you want me to go? If it's what's best for your future. Then yes. It was all I could say. But it wasn't how I really felt. I didn't want to be apart from him. But if keeping him in this ordinary life would limit his potential, I don't want to be away from you. His voice trembled. I saw his little hand tighten into a fist. I want to stay with you always. A deep ache pierced my chest. He wanted so badly to stay by my side. And yet, would I have to push him away for his own good? But Noah, with your talent, there may be a better path. I don't care. I just want to be normal. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I reached out, wanting to wipe them away, but stopped myself. This is what's best for you, I said, barely getting the words out. For Noah's sake. For Noah's future. Even so, my voice was trembling. After finishing my night shift, I sat alone at the low table in our silent room. In front of me was a thick envelope from the school. Inside was a proposal for a special support program created just for Noah. Is this kind of thing really real? I kept rereading the documents I pulled from the envelope. The top academic institutions in the country, prestigious universities overseas, and a gifted program for prodigies in mathematics, things that would sound like a dream for any ordinary family. Noah is not just a genius. He possesses a rare and unique talent. With proper guidance, he may have the potential to change the world. I stared at that sentence, breath caught in my throat. Change the world. Huh, a child like that. Am I really capable of guiding him? A man with no education, who had once lived on the streets. I couldn't possibly nurture Noah's talent the way he deserved. Any ordinary parent would take this opportunity without hesitation. They would give their child the best future possible. But I don't want to be away from you, Dad. The image of Noah crying as he said that kept flashing through my mind. He's only 10. Still at an age where he needs love, where he wants to be close. But if I kept him in an ordinary life and tied him to my limited world, his talent might end up buried forever. If things stay like this, I might destroy Noah's future. I whispered hoarsely, barely audible. I want to raise him. But maybe that's just my selfishness. If he stays with me, he'll live as just a normal child. That wouldn't be a bad life. And yet, there's a bigger world waiting for him. I have to make up my mind. My throat tightened. It felt like my heart was being crushed. To protect Noah's future, I had to let him go. That might be the only decision I could make as a parent. That night, I cried in silence. In the morning light, I sat across from Noah. On the table were the admission papers for the special support institution. Noah, today, you're leaving here. What? He blinked in confusion, unable to grasp the meaning of my words. I continued, there's a place where your talent can shine. You belong there. No. Noah shook his head fiercely. Tears threatened to spill from his wide, frightened eyes. I'm not going. I want to stay with you. I clenched my fists. My chest ached. If I could, I would have held him close. But if I gave in now, I would be keeping Noah ordinary. Noah, if you stay with me, you'll always be just normal. But out there, there's a whole world waiting for you. I don't want that. I just want to be with you. Tears pouring down his cheeks. Noah gripped my hand tightly. It was a small hand, and it was a warm hand, but I shook it off. You're in my way. Noah's tearful expression froze. I swallowed my pain and forced the words out. I'm better off alone. I don't want to take care of you anymore. Noah's eyes widened with shock. That's not true, is it? I didn't answer. I focused all my strength on keeping my expression cold. Was I a burden to you? Yes. My heart felt like it would shatter. But I lied to let him go. Noah wiped his tears with trembling hands and whispered, I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just go. I turned my back on him. Outside the door, the car from the special institution was waiting. The suited staff silently watched the exchange. Go! I said it once more. Dad! Noah clung to me one last time in a desperate plea. But I said nothing. I gently pushed him away. The door closed. From the other side, I heard Noah sobbing. Still, I didn't look back. Late that night, a faint knock came at the door. There shouldn't have been anyone visiting at this hour. But I already knew. Again, I slowly opened the door, and there he was, small and familiar. Dad, you didn't come to get me. Noah stood trembling in his muddy shoes. His hair was a mess, and he was panting. He must have run away again. I don't want to study. I just want you. I clenched my fists. The marks of crying were still clear on his cheeks. Go back. No, I want to be with you. Noah. My voice came out louder than I expected, making him flinch. You're not my son anymore. If you stay with me, you'll end up wasting your life. Tears welled in his eyes again, big and heavy. That's a lie. I looked away. After crying for a while, Noah gave a weak nod and slowly turned on his heel. He walked unsteadily toward the staff member from the institution who had come to pick him up. All I could do was watch that small back as it disappeared. If only this had happened just once. But Noah kept coming back. He kept running away and coming back crying, I want to stay with you, Dad, only to be pushed away by me again. And each time, he went back to the institution in tears. Each time I turned him away, I drank. I drank cheap liquor, poured down my throat without thought. With every drink, the feelings I had buried deep inside began to spill out. It's for your own good, for your own good. I muttered the words, tilting my glass back. But no matter how much I drank, the pain never left. Noah's crying face haunted me over and over again. a child who only wanted to be near me, and I kept pushing him away. What am I even doing? Whenever I got drunk, the thoughts of ending my life would creep back in. That night under the bridge, when I nearly gave up on everything, if I had died then, maybe I wouldn't be going through this now. It's for Noah, all of it. I repeated it to myself, over and over. And yet, the tears kept coming. In the middle of a freezing winter night, the wind cut across my face as I walked a quiet alley. My steps were heavy after another long shift. My breath turned white in the cold. Then I saw a small figure up ahead. It was Noah, curled up tightly as if trying to hug himself warm. He wore only a thin jacket, and his fingers were turning purple. Noah! I ran to him, and he spoke in a faint voice. I'm not going back to the institution anymore. There was something different in his eyes. Despite being turned away again and again, he had come back. That small body was now filled with a quiet resolve. I came to the place where you found me. He slowly lifted his gaze. It was the same place where I once tried to end my life. I froze. How did Noah know this place? That night, when he was just a newborn, with his umbilical cord still attached, he was left in the garbage. He couldn't possibly remember. And yet, here he was. It was like he had reached into my chest and pulled that memory back into the light. He came back to where it all began. You remember? That I found you here? I couldn't say the words. My chest trembled. And in that moment, seeing Noah's frozen little frame, I broke. Why? Why did it have to come to this? His shoulders trembled, his fingers were freezing, and his breath was shallow. He looked just like I had that night, alone, without warmth or hope, returning to the only place that meant something. Noah. The words to push him away didn't come. All the times I had said, go, meant nothing now. I was speechless, and tears spilled from my eyes. Unstoppable, like a dam breaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I held his small body tightly, so tightly. His warmth seeped slowly into my chest. It wasn't just Noah who was trembling. My arms were shaking too. Dad! That hoarse voice echoed against my chest. I had no words. All I could do was hold him tighter. I'm never letting go again. As I whispered those words, Noah's body gave a small shiver. Really? Yeah, I swear. I'll never let you go again. Noah clung to me, gripping my shirt with his little hands. That small grip pierced straight into my heart. We cried in silence. His tears soaked into my chest. Mine fell onto his hair. The sky began to lighten. In the cold morning air, we quietly welcomed the dawn. Good morning, Dad. Good morning. It felt like the beginning of a whole new life. We'll always be together, right? Noah whispered. His voice was small, but it carried a strength no other words could match. I closed my eyes for just a moment, holding back the wave rising from deep inside me. And then I answered, simply, yeah. That was all I needed to say. No more words were necessary. Noah wiped away the traces of tears on his cheeks and reached out his small hand. Without a word, I reached out mine too. We held each other's hands tightly, firmly. The morning sun slowly rose. Its soft light filtered under the bridge. Together, we began to walk. We walked step by step and side by side, drawing strength from each other. We left behind the place where I had once decided to die. Back then, there was nothing but despair. But now, it was different. Now, Noah was beside me. Noah. His name really had brought light into my life. Our two long shadows stretched across the ground, overlapping. We were walking toward the future. On our small table sat a modest but warm meal. We had rice, miso soup, a rolled omelet, and a few side dishes. There was nothing flashy, but it was more than enough for us. Noah ate quietly, moving his chopsticks without a word. I did the same. Even without conversation, there was a strange sense of peace. Now and then, Noah looked up at me. When I noticed, I looked back. We didn't say anything, but just by sitting together and eating slowly, we reassured each other. Our days were simple, but undoubtedly warm. As the sky turned a soft crimson, we walked side by side. We stopped by the usual convenience store. Noah picked up a sweet bun, and I grabbed a canned coffee. After paying, we took a slight detour through the park on our way home. And then, Noah spoke softly. "Dad, today was a good day." "Oh yeah? Did something nice happen?" Um, Not really anything special. I just walked home with some friends and chatted in the park. I don't know why, but it just felt nice." "I see. What about you, Dad? How was work?" "Same as always, but just being able to come home and be with you, that's enough for me." Noah grinned and bit into his sweet bun. "I think eating with you is still my favorite part of the day." I allowed a small smile to tug at the corner of my mouth. "Then I'd say it's been a good day for me too." Noah nodded in satisfaction and took another bite. Simple conversations. Ordinary moments. But to us, they were the most important things in the world. And so, our daily life continued. A small, cozy apartment. Humble meals shared between two people. Quiet moments in the park from time to time. In that life, Noah kept growing. He got into high school. He was still brilliant, and his teachers respected him. But at home, nothing changed. "I'm home. Hey, welcome back." Noah would take off his uniform and sit in his usual chair. On the desk, math textbooks were stacked high. People often said, "You should aim higher." Some even asked, "Why not go to a university overseas?" But Noah stayed by my side. No matter what future awaited him, we knew we wouldn't change. 1 year later, on a chilly day, we stood together in that place. The spot where I had found Noah. The place where I had once planned to end my life. Now, in that same place, Noah stood beside me. "Dad." "Yeah?" Noah quietly looked up at the night sky. "I was born here, wasn't I?" "Yeah." That night, I had found him in a cardboard box. His cries echoed in the darkness. "When I found you, you were so small, so fragile. I just knew I had to help you. That was all I could think. I'm glad you found me that night." I closed my eyes for a moment. Maybe I'm the one who was saved rather than the one who saved him. "I'm glad I met you too." Noah looked up at me with a gentle smile. There was no trace of uncertainty or fear in his eyes anymore. He had accepted living beside me, just as it was meant to be. Together, we gazed at the stars. They shimmered quietly above us. Noah whispered, like he was savoring the moment, "Thank you, Dad." I gently squeezed the hand I had resting on his shoulder. "Thank you, too." That was the truest thing I could say. Under the night sky, our shadows stood side by side, and the promise between us would continue into the future.